Muna arrived at the Lecky mansion with nothing but a small bag and big dreams. Madam Gold smiled warmly, unaware of the evil seeds planted in Muna's heart. Fred, tall and gentle, greeted her politely. Muna's eyes followed him longer than necessary. That night, as she lay on her small mattress in the boys' quarters, Muna whispered to herself, "I deserve his kind of man." What started as admiration quickly turned into obsession. She didn't just want to serve Madam Gold, she wanted to take her place. Muna wore tighter clothes, bent too low while sweeping, and laughed too loud at Fred's jokes. Fred noticed but kept his distance. He loved his wife and respected his home. Madam Gold trusted Muna like a sister, praising her food, letting her handle everything. But Muna had only one mission: seduce Fred. One evening, she placed her hand on his shoulder, whispering, "You deserve better." Fred stood up, firm. "Don't ever try that again." Muna's pride was bruised. Rejection cut deep. That night, her heart darkened. If she couldn't have Fred, Madam Gold didn't deserve him either. Muna's smile stayed sweet, but her eyes burned with hate. She cooked with care, cleaned with speed, and watched Fred like a hawk. Madam Gold had no idea a storm was building under her roof. Fred avoided Muna, keeping conversations short. One evening, Muna cornered him in the kitchen. "If you won't be mine, no one else will," she hissed. Fred's eyes widened. "You need help, Muna." She laughed coldly. "You'll regret rejecting me." Fred didn't tell his wife. He thought she'd overreact. But silence only gave Muna more time to plan her next evil move. Muna spent her nights online, searching for silent poisons. She smiled while stirring soup, imagining Madam Gold gasping for air. Fred noticed something odd. Muna's eyes no longer begged for attention, they promised destruction. One morning, Madam Gold complained of chest pain after drinking her smoothie. "Maybe it's stress," Muna said sweetly, hiding the crushed pills she had mixed in. Fred rushed his wife to the hospital. "You'll be fine," he assured her, but his gut said otherwise. Alone in the house, Muna danced slowly in Madam's gown, whispering, "Soon, he'll be mine." Madam Gold returned home weak but alive. Fred's eyes never left Muna. He began watching her closely, noticing how she avoided the food she served. One afternoon, he poured her water and insisted she drank first. Muna hesitated. "I'm fasting," she lied. That was Fred's confirmation. He replaced the sugar in the tea canister with salt, a test. Muna served Madam tea the next day, and she spat it out immediately. Fred's heart pounded. He'd had enough. That night, he told Madam Gold everything. Shocked and heartbroken, Madam Gold's tears flowed. Muna wasn't just a maid, she was a snake. Fred and Madam Gold set a trap. They bought a small camera and hid it in the kitchen. The next morning, they acted normal. Muna smiled as usual, stirring Madam Gold's milkshake. But this time, they watched her, live. She crushed white powder into the food, looked around, then giggled. "Sweet dreams, madam," she whispered. Fred's fists clenched. Madam Gold sobbed silently. That night, they played the footage back, hearts heavy. Fred called the police, but Madam wanted one more day. "Let's see how far she's willing to go," she said, her voice shaking but strong. The next morning, Muna hummed as she served breakfast. "Madam, your favorite oats," she said, smiling sweetly. Madam Gold stared at her, forcing a smile. Fred sat calmly, pretending to read the newspaper. "Aren't you eating, Muna?" Madam asked. Muna froze. "I already ate," she replied quickly. "Join us," Fred insisted. Reluctantly, she took a spoonful. Her face changed. "What did you put in this?" she snapped. Fred stood. "The same thing you put in hers." Muna dropped the spoon, eyes wild. "You set me up." "No," Madam Gold said coldly. "You set yourself up." Muna tried to run, but Fred blocked the door. "Where are you going, chef?" he asked. Madam Gold handed him the camera. The police are on their way. Muna panicked. It was love. I just wanted to be seen. She screamed. Madam Gold's voice broke. You wanted me dead, Muna. Moments later, officers arrived. They watched the video, nodded, and handcuffed her. As she was led out, she looked back at Fred. You'll miss me. Fred shook his head. I only miss peace. The door shut. Silence filled the house, for the first time in weeks. The house felt different, quiet, safe. But Madam Gold couldn't sleep. Her own maid had tried to kill her. I trusted her, Fred, she whispered. She lived with us. Fred held her hand gently. Evil wears a mask. You didn't see it coming. They both decided to take a break. No maids, no strangers. Just them. Madam Gold started therapy, trying to rebuild her peace. Fred worked from home, staying close. Slowly, laughter returned to the house. The wounds were still fresh, but love began to heal them. Muna was gone, but her shadow would take time to fade. 6 months later, Madam Gold stood before a group of women, sharing her story. Evil doesn't always come with a frown, she said. Sometimes it wears an apron and calls you, Madam. The room was silent, eyes wide. Fred smiled from the front row, proud. Their pain had become purpose. Muna was serving time, but her actions taught a hard lesson: never ignore your instincts. As they walked out of the hall, hand in hand, the sun shone brighter. Love had survived, and from betrayal, they built something stronger, which is wisdom. Be careful about who you bring into your home, especially those you trust to prepare your meals. Sometimes, the people closest to us can hide dangerous intentions behind a friendly smile. Trust is important, but it must be earned over time. Always be vigilant, trust your instincts, and never take the safety of your home and loved ones for granted. Let this story remind us that not everyone who serves you is truly serving your best interests.